The Northern Territory of Australia is one of the emptiest places on Earth. Its area is about 1.35 million square kilometers. The population is around 250,000 people, fewer than in an average European city. The population density is roughly 0.17 people per square kilometer. For comparison, Monaco packs about 26,000 people into the same space. But the emptiness is deceptive. This territory is full of creatures that can strike fast and unseen, full of plants whose touch can mark you for years. And still, people live here. This is the longest continuous cultural tradition on the planet. The people here know how to survive, what to fear, and what to respect. Today, we're sharing 11 things that make the Northern Territory a place where nature plays by its own rules. Darwin, the capital of the Northern Territory, is officially Australia's most dangerous city when it comes to natural disasters per capita. In 1974, Cyclone Tracy slammed into Darwin on Christmas night, December 24th to 25th.
Winds hit 217 kilometers per hour, the highest reading before the anemometer shattered. Real gusts were estimated above 300 kilometers per hour. That's race car speed. Wind like that doesn't just rip roofs off, it peels them away like paper. In a few hours, the cyclone destroyed 70% of Darwin's buildings. 90% of homes became unlivable. Of the 47,000 residents, 30,000 were evacuated, the largest forced evacuation in Australian history. People were flown out on military planes because nothing else worked. The city basically stopped existing overnight. What's striking is that Darwin was rebuilt from the ground up. People came back and kept living there, knowing it could happen again, because cyclones here are normal, not rare. Darwin sits in a zone where tropical cyclones form every year. Every wet season carries the threat. Locals know the evacuation drills by heart. It's just part of life. On the harbor floor lie Japanese submarines from World War II. They were never raised. They became part of the seabed and turned into artificial reefs where coral ecosystems now thrive. History and nature literally fused underwater. The saltwater crocodile, Crocodilus porosus, is the largest living reptile on Earth, up to 7 meters long and 1,000 kilograms, a full ton of living predator, a living relic that survived the extinction that killed the dinosaurs. In the Northern Territory, these crocodiles live in every river, every swamp, every brackish estuary. There are about 100,000 of them. They don't stay in fresh water. They swim out to sea and have been found hundreds of kilometers offshore. They cross island channels and show up where no one expects them. The scariest part, you can be looking right at one and not know it until it attacks. It floats with only its eyes and nostrils above the surface. Everything else stays hidden. Or it lies completely underwater. These crocodiles can hold their breath for up to 2 hours. One can sit on the riverbed and watch you swim, invisible, motionless, patient. Warning signs stand at every body of water. Caution, crocodiles. Some tourists ignore them. It never ends well. What amazes scientists most is that these crocodiles don't hunt on pure instinct. They think. They watch prey for days before striking. They remember routes and learn from experience. There are recorded cases of crocodiles learning the exact times people visit the shore and waiting there for them. About 300 kilometers south of Darwin, in the Daly region, lies the Kutta Kutta Cave System, a limestone karst network that isn't a tourist site. No paved road leads there. You reach it on dirt tracks that become impassable in the wet season. Most Australians have never heard of it. Inside are passages that dive deep into the limestone. The full size is still unknown. Only parts have been mapped. Some tunnels end in cracks too narrow for a person. Others open into huge chambers filled with flowstone formations almost no one has ever seen. What is known? Millions of bats live inside. Several species, including the large false horseshoe bat and some found only in northern Australia. Every evening they pour out by the thousands per second, a visible cloud for kilometers, the sound of their wings carrying hundreds of meters before they even appear. Some chambers also hold evidence of human presence thousands of years old. Ash, stone tools, signs of repeated visits. Who came here, deep into the dark, bat-filled chambers, and why remains unknown. Next is Arnhem Land, roughly 97,000 square kilometers, the size of Hungary, and indigenous land. You need a special permit to enter. Tourists are allowed only rarely and with an escort. Most Australians have never been there. It isn't just protected land. Communities here still follow traditional ways. Ancient ceremonies continue. Parts of the territory are so sacred that even indigenous people stay out without special permission. These places aren't marked on any map. They're known only to those who are supposed to know. Scientifically, Arnhem Land holds one of the world's highest densities of reptile species, including several of the planet's most venomous snakes. The inland taipan, the deadliest land snake, lives here, along with freshwater crocodiles, smaller and less aggressive than saltwater crocs, but still serious predators. In 2022, scientists found a saltwater crocodile population in Arnhem Land's coastal waters larger than anywhere else in Australia. They don't just live here, they dominate. The fact that outsiders are kept out may be exactly why the place remains so wild. Australia's northern coast is one of the most dangerous swimming spots on Earth, and not because of sharks. The box jellyfish, Chironex fleckeri, is the most venomous marine animal known to science. One specimen carries enough venom to seriously harm dozens of people. The pain hits instantly and is described as unbearable, like red-hot metal dragged along the tentacles. Without treatment, it can stop the heart in minutes. The jellyfish is almost transparent and nearly invisible in water. Its bell is about 30 centimeters across. Tentacles reach 3 meters. It isn't aggressive, it just drifts with the current. If you cross its path, it has no idea you're there. To the jellyfish, a person and a fish are the same. Jellyfish season runs from October to May. Many beaches close during this time. Locals simply don't go in the water. But the box jellyfish isn't the only danger. The same waters hold the irukandji jellyfish, thumbnail-sized and invisible. Its venom doesn't strike right away. About 30 minutes later, irukandji syndrome begins. Crushing pain, blood pressure spiking to dangerous levels, total loss of normal function. Immediate medical care is required. It lives in open water and can be washed onto beaches by waves. 2 invisible creatures in water that looks perfectly safe. Gimpy gimpy, Dendrochnide moroides, is a tree up to 3 meters tall with soft, broad leaves covered in fine, stinging hairs. It looks harmless, like an ordinary garden shrub. One touch drives venom into the skin like fiberglass splinters that are almost impossible to remove completely. The pain can last for years and flares up again with water, cold, pressure, even everyday actions like washing or getting dressed. Some people have felt the pain return 20 or 30 years later. The tree grows in the rainforests of northern Australia and Queensland. Without expert knowledge, you can't tell it from safe plants at a distance. Animals suffer too. Horses that breathed the pollen acted unpredictably. Dogs that brushed a leaf were in agony for weeks. Even dry leaves on the ground stay dangerous. Researchers who work with the tree wear thick gloves, goggles, and respirators. Kakadu National Park is one of the largest in the world, about 20,000 square kilometers and a UNESCO site. The postcards show golden cliffs, waterfalls, and bright birds. That's real, but it's not the full picture. In the wet season, roughly November to April, large sections become completely inaccessible. Roads flood under a meter of water. Dry season crossings turn into raging torrents. Helicopter pads wash out. Visitors who don't leave in time need to be airlifted. Even that isn't the biggest danger. During the wet season, crocodiles spread from the rivers into temporary pools across the flooded plains. A roadside puddle or a flooded parking lot can hold a crocodile. The same waters also contain box jellyfish, and their season matches the wet season, exactly when the waterfalls are at their most spectacular and everything is blooming. You simply cannot go in the water. What makes Kakadu truly strange is the wild buffalo, descendants of animals brought in the 1800s that escaped and went feral. Thousands now roam the park. They've trampled new paths, destroyed riverbanks, and pushed saltwater into freshwater systems. Ecosystems that took thousands of years to form were rewritten in just decades by one introduced species. In the coastal tidal pools among seaweed and rocks lives the blue-ringed octopus, Hapaloclina lunulata, tennis ball-sized and one of the most dangerous animals on Earth. At rest, it's brownish and nearly invisible against the background. When threatened, bright blue rings pulse across its body, a final warning. The venom is tetrodotoxin, which blocks nerve signals. Muscles shut down, including those used for breathing. You stay fully conscious but cannot breathe. There is no antidote. The only treatment is mechanical ventilation until the venom clears, a process that can take hours while you remain awake and unable to breathe on your own. The octopus isn't aggressive. It only reacts if grabbed or squeezed. The danger is that people pick it up because it looks beautiful and exotic. If you see a small octopus with blue rings on the shore, just walk away. South of the Northern Territory begins what Australians call the Red Centre, the Simpson, Gibson, and Great Sandy Deserts, forming one of the largest desert regions in the Southern Hemisphere. Summer temperatures regularly exceed 50 degrees Celsius. Shade is almost non-existent. Water exists only at widely spaced, known points that can be hundreds of kilometers apart. Without water, an average person can lose consciousness in just a few hours. People disappear here every year, not from recklessness, but because a vehicle breaks down, water runs out, or someone takes a wrong turn. No cell service, no signs, no passing cars. Yet life thrives. Australian deserts support more reptile species than any other deserts on Earth. Venomous snakes, lizards, and endemics found nowhere else. They survive where almost nothing else can. One of the most remarkable is the thorny devil, covered in spines. It drinks water through its skin, dew and condensation, and channels it along grooves between its scales straight to its mouth. A living water collection system invented by nature long before humans. This lizard lives where there are no rivers or lakes, only air and rock. Search teams have a name for another common danger: lost in the bush. The bush here isn't a European forest. It's dense, uniform vegetation with almost no landmarks. Without GPS or a compass, you can lose your bearings in hours. Trees look identical, trails vanish. The sun straight overhead gives no directional clues. Constant heat drains water from your body fast. In 1998, 5 young hikers in Litchfield National Park, a popular spot with waterfalls and pools a few dozen kilometers from Darwin, left the marked trail. 3 were rescued. 2 were found days later suffering severe dehydration, even though they were only a few kilometers from civilization. Some cases go beyond simple disorientation. In 2006, an experienced bushwalker who knew the Kakadu region inside out disappeared. His tracks were found on a riverbank. After that, nothing. His body was never recovered. The cause was never officially determined. Crocodile? Accident at the water's edge? The Northern Territory doesn't always return its visitors. Indigenous peoples have lived in the Northern Territory for more than 65,000 years. Their ancestors arrived when modern humans were just beginning to leave Africa. Their culture is the oldest continuous cultural tradition on Earth, 10 times older than writing, 30 times older than the Egyptian pyramids. Over those 65,000 years, they accumulated detailed knowledge of every plant, animal, water source, and weather pattern. That knowledge was passed down orally through songs, stories, and ceremonies. Which plants heal or kill, when rains will come, where to find water in drought. It lives in memory, not books. Songlines, also called Dreamtime paths, are a continent-wide navigation system. Routes are encoded in specific songs that describe rocks, rivers, waterholes, and landmarks. Know the song and you know the way. It worked accurately for thousands of years without maps or compasses. The troubling reality is that much of this knowledge is disappearing. Elders are passing away, and younger generations are moving to cities. Knowledge built over 65,000 years is vanishing with them. Crocodiles and jellyfish are immediate dangers. This loss is slower but irreversible. The Northern Territory is a place where nature doesn't pretend to be friendly. There are no comforting illusions of control that people in milder climates take for granted. Every river might hold a crocodile. Every bush might be poisonous. Every tidal pool might hide a deadly jellyfish. Every step into the bush requires real knowledge of what comes next. That's why it is one of the most honest places on Earth. Nature here makes no exceptions. It treats a tourist with a camera the same as a local who knows every trail. The only difference is knowledge and respect. The people who have lived here for 65,000 years understood that from the beginning. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.